Hey Mr. Suhu, this is my reflection. Um, I've met all my goals this year. I expected not to do as well in Algebra 2 as I did, and I thank you very much for being a good teacher. Um, I met all my goals in all my classes, which were to stay above D's, and I actually did better than that. I only got 1 C first semester, and this semester I only have 2 C's. The rest are A's and B's, which are really good. Uh, I learned a lot, mainly in your class, about how to be more tolerable and how I am as a person through all your personality tests. And once again, I thank you for that. And pretty much, I met my goals through just trying and getting help for once, which I never really used to do. And yeah, this was a pretty good year for me. Thank you very much.
Okay, so first off, you look at your mean, and it's 70, and you have a standard deviation of 4, which means each thing you go up for, so 74, 78, 82. And then on the left side, you decline 4, or subtract 4, however you say it. So 66, 62, and 58. And yeah. So then, sorry I keep sniffling. I'm sick. Just, yeah, anyways. So, what percent of American men between 66 and 74 inches tall? So, you go to the graph, and you look for 66, and then you look for 74, and you... Okay, sorry. And then you look at, so this is 66, 74, and there you have like lines or whatever. So you go up from there, and you get 68% of American men are between, because, taller than 74 inches. So, yeah, going up. And so they give you these percentages up here. So what you want to do is add them together, and when you do that, you get 16%. Okay, yeah. And then the percent of men between 70 and 78 inches is, you look at 70, you find 70, which is the mean, and then you find 78, and then you look up here where the percentages, which is 34%, it's 13.5, and then you add them together like you did with the first one. Sorry, it's blurry, I keep moving, and then yeah, and you end up with 74.5%. And then for D, what percentage of men are between 62 and 78 inches tall? It's 13.5. And then you add them together like you did with the first one. Sorry, it's blurry, I keep moving. And then, yeah, and you end up with 74.5%. And then for D, what percentage of men are between 62 and 78 inches tall? So you find 62 on the graph, you find 62 on the graph, right here, and then you find 78, yeah, and then you add, you'll get up here at the percentages, like we did last time, for both sides. So 13.5 34%, 34%, and 13.5%. And when you do that, and you add them together, you're going to get 95% of men are between 62 and 78 inches tall. And then for the, and that's it. So, yeah.
To keep you entertained, I'm going to teach you the 8-count blocking system for Aikido. So, odds are always on your front arm, and evens are always on your left. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's the 8-count blocking system.
So, once you get this list, the first thing you want to do is you want to put the numbers in order from the smallest to the greatest. And then after you do that, you're going to want to find the median, which is the number that's in between all of the numbers in the list. And since there are 30 numbers, there's no number that's in between. So you're going to want to get 2 numbers that are next to, like in between the whatever. And then, so then you want to add them and then divide them by 2. And then that's going to be your median. And after you do that, you're going to want to find the mean. And the mean is when you add all the numbers together in the list and then divide them by the number of numbers in the list. So since there are 30, so you add all these numbers, and since there are 30 numbers altogether in the list, you're going to get that number and then divide it by 30, and that's going to be your mean. And then when you find, you also want to find the range, which is you get the greatest number and the smallest number, and you subtract them, and that's going to be your range. And the way you make the table is intervals, so numbers from 40 to 49, 50 to 59, so like 40 to 49, and then all the way up to about 109, because you have 108 numbers in the list, so on and so forth. And then you want to find the frequency, which is when, so the interval is like 40 to 49, so how many numbers in the list are between 40 and 49, and that's going to be your frequency. Since there's only one number between the numbers 40 and 49, the frequency is 1. And then, obviously, so on with all the other numbers. And then the relative frequency is when you get the frequency and then you divide it by the number of numbers in the list. And as I said before, since there are 30 numbers in the list, you get that and you divide it, and that's going to be your relative frequency. And then after you do that, you're going to make a histogram, frequency table or whatever, or like a bar graph or whatever you want to call it. And then you get this, and then after that is when you get the frequency and then you divide it by the number of numbers in the list. And as I said before, since there are 30 numbers in the list, you get that and you divide it, and that's going to be your relative frequency. And then after you do that, you're going to make a histogram, frequency table or whatever, or like a bar graph or whatever you want to call it. And then you get this, and then after that, for standard deviation, you put it in this formula, which is the the first number in the list first. So you want to put that there, and then the mean after that. So then after squared. So after you do that, and then you're going to want to go on to the next number in the list, which is 52, and then you do the same thing that you did here. Subtract it by the mean, which is 76.1 squared, so on and so forth for all the numbers in this list. And then you're going to divide it by how many numbers there are in the list, which is, as I've repeated about 3 times, there are 30 numbers in the list. And yeah, that's what you do. Hey, Mr. Sue. The things I've really learned this year are that, you kind of have to get over the wall, or whatever you want to say, because life gets really tough sometimes, and you have to have people who are going to help you over and stick by you even after you get over that wall. And I think that this year I've made some really good friends who helped me a lot, and yeah, I think the goal for this year was to get better with my anxiety and stuff like that. And I think that it's not perfect, but I think now that I'm kind of facing everything, the way that it really needed to be addressed before, I think I'm gonna, get over this little obstacle, this hurdle on the track, and get through it. And so thank you for being my teacher and being so understanding and, supportive and always our talks and stuff. I really appreciate it. So I hope you have a good summer. And yeah,
I'm going to show you how to do box plots, dot plots, and histograms. So, 30 students were asked to report the number of TVs in their households. The table below gives their responses. Here are all the responses. So you count all the numbers after you drew your dot plot. We're going to go 0 through 9 because no one has more than 9 TVs. And then you just put a dot for each number. Every time someone has a certain amount of number, you put a dot and it adds up. Next, for the box plot, you organize it by the median and the Q1 and the Q2, which would be 1 and 3, because 1 and 3 are between the most, which would be 2, which is why 2 is the median. And then little brackets at the end are just to show you the lowest to highest number. And then for your histogram, you're going to do it 0 to 10. I put spaces between all of them just to make it look nicer. Here's our frequencies. So 0 to 2 would be 8, so we go up to 8 from 0 and then go down to 2. Then for 2 to 4 we go up to 15. 4 to 6 we go to 6. 6 to 8 we go to 1. And then you have to find the mean, median, standard deviation, and 5-number summary. So the mean you find from adding everything up and then dividing it by the number of numbers there are, which would be 2.53. Standard deviation is 1.5. The median is the middle of all the numbers, which would be 2. And the 5-number summary is 0, 1, 2, 3, 7. The IQR is skewed, and the equation is Q3 minus Q1, which would equal 3 minus 1, which equals 2. And then the distribution is unimodal, skewed right. Median equals 2 TVs, and IQR equals 2.